jungle.
Good day. Welcome back to Adventures with Doc in Africa. It's been a while since I've been with you, and we're just happy to have you back with us. Perfect Changani in South Africa is our producer, and he's done a great job producing many of our podcast interviews. I just want to publicly thank him for all that he does. Today, we have a very good friend of mine. She's also on staff with Blessman International and has worked with us at Blessman International off and on for over 12 years. And she has an amazing testimony and story of just how we started working together and some of the things that have happened to her in the last 20 years. So, Wendy, tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, Doc. So I'm actually the director of development at Blessman International and very honored to hold that position and be part of this amazing ministry. You want me to just go ahead and start talking about it's
Go for it. Our listeners want to hear from you. They hear from me all the time.
Okay. Well, my testimony is so powerful, and the way that Blessman plays such a huge role in it, it gives me goosebumps even starting to talk about it. So it was when I was about 30 years old, I came to a point in my life where I felt very lost and I felt like a complete failure in life. I wasn't really following the Lord, didn't really have much direction. I knew in my heart that God had made me to do so much more than what I was doing. I was just working temp jobs at insurance companies at the time, and I actually kind of hated it. So I was in and out of relationships. I was trying to do what the world tells you to do, what I thought the world was telling you to do to be successful, which is to, have a career with a 401k and get married and have kids. And I was trying to do those things, but nothing was ever working out for me. My jobs were never working out. Relationships were never working out. So one night I was actually living in my cousin's basement at the time in Ankeny, and I just felt so hopeless. And so one night after work, I just fell to my knees and I looked up to the sky and I said, "If you're up there, God, I surrender to you. I surrender everything to do. I know that I was made to do so much more than this. I know it with all my heart, but I don't know what it is and I don't know how to do it. And I will do anything you tell me to and go anywhere you tell me to go." And it was in a fit of tears and desperation. I said this coming to Jesus prayer, right? And I meant it with all my heart. So the next day I was on a walk during my lunch break. And for the first time in my entire life, I heard God speak to me. And out of all the things he could have ever said, he said, "You're going on a mission trip to Africa." And I was like, what? My first reaction was, no, I'm not. Because that sounded so crazy to me because I didn't know anything about Africa. I'd hardly ever been out of Iowa in my 30 years of living. And this is the first that anything like that had ever come to me. And I knew it was from God because there was no way that it came from me. So I got back to my office and it was like this beanstalk had been planted in me and was already starting to grow by the time I got back to my computer, because it was like this passion inside of me that was like, you got to get to Africa. And it sounded so crazy and scary. But again, I knew it was from God. And after telling him I'd do whatever he told me to do, so anyway, I got on my computer and looked up the church that I'd been attending off and on, which was Lutheran Church of Hope. I went on their mission trips and saw that they had a mission trip going to Africa, and the deadline to sign up was that day. So I signed up to go to Africa. And it was the craziest thing that I had ever done in my entire life up until that point. I didn't know how I was going to get the money to go. I didn't know how I was going to get time off work. I didn't know anything except that God told me I need to go to Africa. And here it was right there, an opportunity to go to Africa. So by the grace of God, within a few months, I was able to raise the money to go. I ended up getting fired from my job, so I had time off work, and God already knew all that was going to happen. So I found myself in South Africa with Blessman International, and it was so overwhelming. I had never in my entire life seen anything like what I saw over there. I saw, first of all, the beauty of the African landscape is like nothing else. I mean, it's just, it's God. You see God. The animals, the exotic animals, the wildlife, and then of course the people and the third world poverty. Nothing like I'd ever seen. The need was so great. But the joy of the people was also so great. That was probably the thing that overwhelmed me the most, was these people had absolutely nothing and they were still joyful. And I was heartbroken by a lot of what I saw, and I was inspired by a lot of what I saw, and I was inspired by the hope that Blessman was bringing these people. And the missionaries coming over, how it was changing them and how it was helping with the people's lives too. And I was like, people gotta hear about this. This is incredible. So I kept thinking that. I'm like, I gotta tell people about how great this is. This is so incredible. Like, people need to know about this. And that was the second time in my life when I heard God speak to me. And this time he said, I want you to tell the stories of my people. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm here to tell the stories of his people, right? Like, here in Africa is what I thought he meant. He didn't mean that right then. Apparently I had to do some training first. I came home from Africa and I was still just so overwhelmed by everything, and had this new mission in my heart to tell the stories of God's people. So I started, well, actually, a little quick story. While I was in Africa, I was rooming with a woman, and she said that her son lived in New York City. And I said out loud, I'd die happy never going to New York City in my entire life. And I always tell people, be careful what you say. I was like, never say never. I've learned that. Because when I came back from Africa, I had this divine calling to go into broadcasting. And the best opportunity for me to do that was to move to New York City and go back to school for broadcasting there. And with God calling me to do that, that's exactly what I did. I moved to New York City with nothing but a suitcase. I didn't know anyone. It was the scariest thing I've ever done in my entire life. But I knew that's where God was leading me. So I knew I had to do it. What was scarier was not doing it. So I went to New York City, to the New York Film Academy. I got a crash course in how to be a multimedia journalist, which is someone who films all their own stories and edits them and produces them and is on camera themselves. Wow. And when I finished that, I moved back to Iowa. I got a temporary job at KCCI for a couple months and learned how to kind of be a reporter there, and worked with Eric Hansen, and just with the greatest storytellers really in the country. I mean, KCCI is incredible. And I was blessed to be able to work there and learn from them. And then I got a job in Casper, Wyoming. I moved there. I was the anchor. I was the weather person. I was the cameraman. I was the producer. I was the reporter. I worked 15 hours a day. I got paid $20,000 a year. Oh, wow. Yeah. But I learned a lot, and I knew that that's where God had directed me. And I will tell you this. A lot of the stuff I did was really, really hard. It was really hard, but God was driving, and I knew that that's where he wanted me. So I just held onto my faith as hard as I could. Anyway, after that, I got a job in Fresno, California for 2 years. And then after that, I got a job in Tampa, Florida for 6 years. I was a news reporter down there. I won the award for Multimedia Journalist of the Year for the state of Florida from the Florida Broadcasting Association. And I won an Emmy Award for a story I did as well. All by the grace of God, all by following his direction. This small town Iowa girl never in her entire life would have ever dreamed of something like this for her. And by following God, by being called in Africa to tell the stories of God's people and just following my faith, I mean, God has delivered me into a life I never dreamed possible. And now I'm back working for Blessman, telling the stories of God's people, where it's such a full circle moment, because it's like, you know, he told me, I want you to tell the stories of my people while I was in Africa for the first time. I thought that he meant that I was going to start doing it right there and then, but no, I needed a decade's worth of training to be able to come back and do it right.
I remember watching you do some media or camera stories in Africa this last time you were over there. And I just knew for sure you would be wonderful working with Blessman International. And I couldn't believe that you'd be able to come and work for us. But you and I took a walk, had a chat, and the rest is history. It's been so wonderful to have you working with us. Tell us a little more about what you remember about this second trip when you were over there filming and just, starting your journey with us.
Oh gosh, it was incredible. I mean, to be back over there after working for Blessman, to be able to see the structure that's set in place for all the programs, like it's such a well-oiled machine. And I was so impressed by that. And then to really talk to the people that have been impacted by the ministry. Not only is storytelling a passion of mine, but it's so heartwarming to know that I'm part of an organization that is changing the course of these people's lives. I mean, I talked to a teacher at a school where before they had Blessman drill a well at their preschool, they had to walk for an hour, 2 hours every day round trip with a wheelbarrow to go and get water at a water source and then bring it all the way back every single day just to have water for their preschool of 80 kids. And we also
that water's likely contaminated in dirty containers. So
that's exactly right. Yes. Yeah. Right. The dirty containers that they would put water in. So now they have a well at their preschool where they have fresh water right there at their preschool. We also installed toilets at the same preschool. So they took me back to their old pit toilet that they're going to knock down. It was so disgusting. It's a hole in the ground, and to see these little, like, basically babies squatting over a hole in the ground that they could easily fall into. Now they have real toilets. So they have some dignity to be able to when they use the restroom, and just the life-changing impact. I know that these preschools have tripled in size, the ones that we've installed wells and toilets at. So just to know that, like, we're not only changing specific lives, we're changing entire communities with each project that we do. It's so incredible.
We should take a moment and put in a plug for one of our favorite corporate partners, Hy-Vee. What do you know about what Hy-Vee's done for water in Africa?
Well, I know that Hy-Vee was who drilled our first well in Africa. And now we have 86, I think, and counting.
Yeah.
So with Hy-Vee specifically, they've helped us drill a little over 50 wells, I believe, at this point, near 50, which is just incredible. I mean, and so their one-step program, I just think it's the concept of their one-step program is so amazing. It's like you can buy a bottle of water at Hy-Vee that you need and drink, or buy water for your family, and a portion of that goes to provide water for people in Africa that don't have access to water. So it's like doing something as simple as buying your groceries for your family is impacting lives on the other side of the world. I just think I get goosebumps every time I talk about it because it's so beautiful.
It is. We love our friends at Hy-Vee, and we got so many corporate partners. There's no way we can mention them all today, but another favorite of mine is Highline. Tom Dixon is a good friend of mine out at Highline, and he came to me about maybe it's over 3 years ago, and he said, "Doc, I want to help you feed those kids in Africa with eggs." And so we've been developing a partnership with them, and by the end of July, I think we will have 4,000 birds that they have donated, and that's producing literally thousands and thousands of eggs that we're able to give children. And it's just so fun to see all the Iowa partners that we have. I think, Wendy, you and I both are blessed to have grown up in Iowa and be able to serve in Africa. Musco Lighting gave us $250,000 worth of sports lighting for our soccer complex, and that's been life-changing in that village. We have this beautiful sports complex in a village that doesn't even have street lights, and it just lights up the world. And so what a wonderful time we have to come from Iowa and serve in Africa.
Amen.
And we'd like to come back to you now and again and just share more in depth about some of the specific programs that we're doing. There are many of them, but thank you for tuning in today and just giving us a little bit of your time. And please give us feedback of what you're thinking, what you'd like to hear. You can find us on all the regular channels where you watch your podcasts. So thank you very much. Have a good day.